What's, oh, that's something on my screen. I was like, what is that behind me? Oh, it was something on my phone screen. I'm looking like,
We about to,
I'm looking
it's
like,
gonna be a whole nother situation.
like, what is happening behind me? And it was like a piece of lint or something on my phone screen. I'm like, "The hell?" Hey, how are you, my love?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am full of color and very neatly done.
All right then. Today's an easy day.
Every day is an easy day.
Every day's an easy day. If you guys only knew, if y'all only knew, but we're gonna come in here and we're gonna give you the best that we had, the best way we know
Hey, we're
how.
gonna do like Anita Baker, giving you the best that I got.
Yeah, exactly. We we have, I'm getting tongue tied. You know, we had an election yesterday.
We did.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, is it me or do I feel like for a midterm election, I feel like it was a pretty well attended, publicized. We had some interesting wins. We have the first black
Well, the thing
female
about it is, not only was it a midterm election, it was an off year, an odd year, meaning
yeah,
an odd year
yeah.
midterm election. So it was even more, where you don't expect people to,
Right.
you but people want their voice to be heard, and I'm glad that their voice
I'm
is
loving it. I'm glad to see it.
heard.
I'm glad to see it. And that's always there are always ramifications that trickle down to the field of education, even though we people may not realize it in the beginning or on a day-to-day basis. It always trickles down. It always connects and affects
Hey,
us.
really be let me I gotta go out and I don't know what's going on with StreamYard with me today. I'm gonna go out and come back in again. It
Okay.
is just acting really
My
odd.
StreamYard has been acting up the last couple of days, so I don't know. Maybe it is
Yeah.
StreamYard.
I'll be right back.
All right, all right. Well, hey to the people that are here. Let me say hi to the people. Come down and say hi. Let me speak to the people while we wait for El Teddy to get back in here. Hey, Marnie. Hey, Janae was the first one in the room. Yana. Lovely 31 said, I'm on time today, everyone. Hello. Hey, Cookie. What up, Danny? Ooh, girl, I got to talk to you. Really be I was watching another YouTube this afternoon and his voice was breaking up in the broadcast like yours. You know what? I was listening to another YouTube video and it was doing the same thing. I think it must be StreamYard. It's either YouTube or StreamYard. And it might be YouTube, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because YouTube, what I realized yesterday, and Chef Don told me this was happening across YouTube, the times are off. So like if you post, like I posted a video, I think I told you guys this yesterday. I posted a video on Sunday night. I went live at 9:15. And when I went to go check my numbers on that video before I went to bed at about 11 o'clock, YouTube was trying to tell me that video had been up for 10 hours. And I said, that is just not mathematically correct. there's just, there's no way that is correct. So it may be YouTube. Maybe YouTube is doing some updates or something like that. But I did the same thing, Marnie. Thank you. I watched the video. I was watching it earlier today, but it was live. It was a live video from last night, and it was doing that. So I don't know. It's something. It might be something going on, child. There's something going on.
Yeah, thumbs up. But this is StreamYard because I can't even use any of the StreamYard functionalities on screen. Like if I wanted, well, it let me mute at that time, but I can't pull up anything. It's not letting it. I don't know. It's
Okay. So it
acting
may
up.
be a combination. Marnie says she voted early. I knew Karen, who was a MAGA conspiracy theorist, was running for our county executive, and she lost. Well, let me give you a clap. Let me clap that up. All right. Hey, Melly, what's up, Fran J? I'm here close to Virginia. And we have Yonkin over here. And Yonkin took some L's yesterday, too. He took some L's. Um, so let's get into the things of the things. Which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the election?
Well, let me start by saying I love the politics talks. They're inspiring me to go live and maybe talk
Uh-oh,
about
because
something.
y'all keep talking politics because El Teddy wasn't gonna go live because he's He's not really feeling it right now. Y'all keep talking. Y'all keep talking. He might get his juices flowing.
Get my political.
He has a lot on his plate, but he really wanted to come down and talk about the results from yesterday's election. But he kind of has a lot on his plate, and y'all know he travels on the weekend. So if you don't do it today, he might not be able to do it till next week. So we're gonna keep his juices flowing. What article? We have 3 articles to get to today. So which one do you want to touch? Which one you want to touch?
I want to go with the big one first. The Tennessee.
Mississippi? Was that
No,
Tennessee?
I think it was Tennessee.
Hold on, let me see. Tennessee. Every time I hear Tennessee, that's all I just be ready to. Lord, I really
want Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Before our girl left, Dion.
Right. Won't you help me? All right. Yeah, we have. Yeah, that was Tennessee. All right, let's start with Tennessee, you guys. I will drop the link in the chat while we go through the article together. Who is this? Who's calling me? Oh, you know what? I do need to. I meant to make a phone call before we started. Okay. All right, link in the chat. And Yana, I want you to check out the Louisville book festival this weekend. I want you to check that out this weekend. My girlfriend, that's her event. She organizes it. She does the whole event. I want you to go support her if you can, if you're available this weekend. I meant to tell you about this weeks ago. I was actually going to try to go, and I wasn't able to make it work. All right, here's the article, you guys. Tennessee lawmakers discuss possibly rejecting $1 billion, that is with a B, dollars in federal education funding. I'm going to read you guys the article, and then I'm going to let Dr. El Teddy break down for you why that is so crucial. All right. Tuesday marked day 2 of lawmakers. This is coming from Action 5 News, the NBC affiliate down in the Tennessee area, and it was published on November the 8th. Okay. Tuesday marked day 2 of lawmakers working on how federal funding impacts classrooms in Tennessee. This comes after Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton and Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally created a group to look into the feasibility of the state rejecting those funds. A total of over $1 billion could be rejected if the Joint Working Group on Federal Education finds it feasible for the state to replace the funding. Interim Superintendent of Memphis Shelby County Schools, Tony Williams, spoke with the group Tuesday and shared why those federal funds are necessary for the district's 110,000 students. The group also heard testimonies from other school district leaders from across the state. Federal funding plays a role that provides supplemental services that addresses specific needs of those students. She explained to the group that Memphis Shelby County Schools receives $274 million in federal funds. Williams said that is around 18 to 20% of the district's annual operating budget. The Office of Research and Education Accountability shared on Monday that the 5 largest areas where federal funds go to local districts are the areas of Title I, IDEA, Child Nutrition, Title II, and Perkins 5. Williams said that MSCS receives $92 million in title funds, which supports students who live in high poverty areas. She also said that the district receives $89 million in federal funds for the nutrition program, for which many students is their only food source. For example, we have food that we receive on a weekly, she said. Some of these students wouldn't get an opportunity for food if it wasn't for our food nutrition program. The chairman of the group, Senator John Lundberg, reiterated the group would not cut funds, but learn how districts could operate without federal dollars and the restrictions that come with the funds. But the Senator Ramesh Akbari of Memphis questioned the panel about whether federal fund restrictions have caused any issues. We keep hearing there are strings attached to the federal funding. It is a burden to our local school districts. It's a burden to our state government. What strings have you found attached to these funds that have made it more difficult for your school districts to utilize them, if any, she asked. The panel was quiet and did not answer. She took to silence as their answer. Akbari added that the state should use its funds to help fill gaps instead of replacing federal funds. So, on a state level, if there is any possibility where we have the financial situation to turn down $2 billion in federal funding and have to make that up in state funds, surely if we have that level of wealth or access or surplus, we could actually use those funds to make a difference in those school buildings. Williams added that she hopes the state creates a sustainability plan if they choose to reject those funds, because the change would impact some of the most vulnerable students in the district. Wednesday, the group is scheduled to hear from the United States Department of Education. Go ahead. I'm just gonna let you go.
This is, mark my words, November 8th, 2023. Today's my sister's birthday. I haven't even called her. Dear God.
You better call her.
I need to call her. She'll be all right. She didn't call me on my birthday. Anyway, we always talk about states looking for one state to look at something for the blueprint, and then they get the ball rolling from there. I remember doing an article yesterday, really, which probably we could have did on here today, but this was out of the great state of Wisconsin, where Wisconsin said that they were going to withhold pay raises for the entire University of Wisconsin employee system, because they didn't want to do DEI program, because they were doing DEI program, and they didn't want them to do DEI program. So they weren't going to give any pay raises to anybody in the entire system. Now, mind you, that's not the important part. The important part was they talked about having a $7 billion surplus in the Wisconsin state government. I don't know if the Tennessee state government is working with a surplus and what that surplus looks like, but I can see a state like Tennessee saying, "Oh, we got a $2, $3, $4 billion surplus. Let's reject federal funds and just go and pay these supplemental funds to the school systems ourselves." Now, that sounds good, and the way they would probably whitewash that, or the way that they would shroud that in their own wording and rhetoric, it would sound like it's a wonderful thing, as if the state found a way to be fiscally solvent and not dependent on federal funds. However, really, we know what this is. What this is Tennessee saying, we want to be as racist, bigoted, and discriminatory as we can, and we don't want a goddamn person telling us what we will and will not do to anyone. Title I specifically affects low income, which we know disproportionately affects Black, brown, and other minorities within the city. Also, that affects IDEA, which means students with disabilities. So what that means is, if we're rejecting federal funds on that, we don't have to guide ourselves by the stipulations that they put on those monies. We do not have to follow any of the provisos and stipulations with regard to low-income students. We do not have to do anything referencing students with disabilities. And mind you, we've chronicled on this platform how disproportionately many Black, brown, and other minorities get disproportionately misdiagnosed as being a student with disability, so forth and so on. And now, even if they truly were someone with a disability, they don't have to offer them any services. They don't have to offer them any accommodations. They don't have to do anything for them. They don't have to provide, if they're rejecting the nutrition budgets that the feds give, they don't have to provide that if they don't want to. They can have their own stipulations on this. And I bring that up because if the state of Wisconsin says we're not going to give any money to these schools because they're providing DEI programs, Who's to say Tennessee is saying, oh, you're a school system that wants to acknowledge diversity, equity, and inclusion? Oh, you're a school system that wants to teach what we deem to be CRT? Then we're not going to give you state funding. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you ain't getting no federal fundings either. So basically, you won't be getting anything, which then causes that whole school system to go without resources, which means that that's going to tank that school system, allowing the state to do what? Step in, take over, and then what will happen? Privatization of school systems and all types of other things. We talked on this program about that big private school company that opened 150 schools in Tennessee with the indoctrination plans and programs. We've been chronicling this, and this is such a big story. This is being swept under the rug. You won't hear no mainstream media talking about this. This really being is huge, huge. Now, the other part that I'm glad that that superintendent mentioned was the sustainability of this, because while this may look good now and it may be sustainable for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the economy, you know, is always tenuous. The bottom can fall out at any given moment, and these surpluses that this state has that they think that they can use to supplement federal fundings may not be there anymore. And then go ahead, really be. I can keep going forever. This is bad. This is really bad.
So I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. Not you, but with the sustainability. I don't think that Tennessee can sustain this now. I think that they're willing to shoot themselves in the foot just so that they don't have to answer to the federal government. Because what you're not going back to the article. Let me go back to the article and go back to the numbers piece on this. So when they said Shelby County receives $274 million in federal funds. That is 18 to 20% of their budget. Now, that's just one county in the whole state. There is no, and LTD, you and myself have both sat in the room when we're talking about budgets. I've done school budgets. You've been on the district level, so you've looked at district budgets. I worked at the union. I looked at district budgets. There is no budget. No is a strong word, but I'm going to go ahead and say I would venture to say that there is no school budget in this 50 states that can afford to lose 20% of their budget and still function effectively. Now, further, I Googled, and according to U.S. News Education, y'all know they do the rankings. Y'all know that they do the school rankings every year. U.S. News. Tennessee is ranked 35 overall. Out of 50 states, Tennessee is ranked 35. Now, you tell me that a school district that's below the 50% level can afford to lose 20% of their budget and still compete with the other 33 states that they're currently below? Absolutely not. But like El Teddy said, they are so concerned about not having to answer to the federal government, because remember, you guys, we've been telling you guys since the Bananarama that the only thing that the federal government, not the only thing, the biggest tool in the federal government's toolbox as it relates to state education is the checkbook. So Tennessee says, listen, if we eliminate our need for the checkbook, then they can't tell us what to do when it comes to LGBTQIA. They can't tell us what to do when it comes to Title IX as it relates to women in sports and equal education. They can't tell us what to do as it relates to, like El Teddy said, students with disabilities and what that is supposed to look for. They can't even tell us what to do with our state standardized testing, because the penalty that the federal government holds over the states is pulling back the money. Well, if we've told you we don't want your money, now let me tell you something, and I'll tell you, you'll remember this. Remember when Common Core first came to be? Remember what happened to the states that rejected Common Core? What did they do? They forfeited those federal funds. And they actually ended up in that case, they actually were able to kind of sort of hold, they because Common Core sort of fell by the wayside to a certain extent. They kind of, you know what I'm saying. But that's what they did. Those states that rejected Common Core said keep your money. And guess what? I believe Tennessee was one of those states then. I'm almost sure I'd have to refresh my memory, but I believe that Tennessee was one of those states that said, no, we're not doing Common Core. We're not doing that.
What also scares me is not just Title One, because most people don't know what Title Two or Perkins 5 is. Title Two is federal funding given towards states for professional development, for this is geared toward the teachers and the faculty, not centered around the students. So this is for professional development and certification training and and DEI would fall underneath that. DEI programs and trainings in school systems will fall under Title II, which is why so many school districts don't want the Title II funds. Perkins 5 scares me because those are CTE, that's grants for CTE programs, for kids that may not go to college. Those are vocational technical skills and things like that, or maybe even some computer certifications, but certifications and technical educations where for kids that may not go off to a college or four-year university, they can leave with skills or leave with some type of certification so that they can enter the workforce. So you're cutting off monies to a lot of different programs. This is scary. They don't want to do anything. And we talked about Tennessee. I know I've talked about it on my channel. Remember, Tennessee was the state that violated HIPAA when they started giving out the medical records of all state employees that were trans and their whole medical records and background violating HIPAA. So we know Tennessee has a history of doing that. They've censored members of their own Congress simply because they had an opposing viewpoint.
Yep.
Wait till somebody
said they were, so I was right. Yeah, I was right. Yana said they were. Yeah.
Watch this. Wait till somebody like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott get a hold of stuff like this. They're here for this. They're here for all parts of this.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders got some other issues she need to be focusing on right now.
She don't care. When she crawl out of the bell tower, to come down and go to the podium that she paid all that money for and can't account for, she do not care.
We definitely have to keep our eye on this because, like we've said to you guys before, and we'll keep telling you that when things like this happen, it is laying the foundation for other states to say, oh, we want to do that too. And we know that states like Florida and Texas are just itching to figure out a way that they can continue to violate student and teachers' rights. Anyway, moving forward. You ready to? You done? You done with that one? You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, we could move on to the next one, but we definitely need to put No, I'm good. But we definitely need to put a pin in that one because I could see. I really want to see.
That's one of the ones we need to
follow. I really want an update on that one. We need to follow that one.
We definitely need to follow that. We'll follow it, and we definitely have to add Tennessee to our list, honey. Tennessee, you are on the board. Okay. All right, let me post the link for our next article, and let's get into the things of the things. This article. Oh, here we go. The Christian Post. That should already let you know what direction we're going in. This article is posted on the Christian Post. It was posted November the 7th of 2023. Hold on. I got to pop up. Let me go. Okay. I'm sure they're trying to indoctrinate me. All right. A former student at a public high school in Chicago was awarded $150,000 in a settlement last month after she sued over a transcendental meditation program that she alleged violated her constitutional rights. Mariah Green, 21 sued the Chicago Board of Education in February over a quiet program that was implemented in some urban public schools with the help of the University of Chicago and the David Lynch Foundation, which were also named in the lawsuit. The Chicago Board of Education and the David Lynch Foundation will each pay $75,000 according to the judgment issued by the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois on October the 23rd, lawmakers announced last week. Green, a Christian, told Christian Post that she had transferred from a charter school to Bogan Public High School during the 28-19 school year to play basketball and volleyball. Before long, she said she found herself expected to participate in the Quiet Time program that implemented transcendental meditation and other practices that she believed violated her faith. Transcendental meditation, also known as TM, was founded in India during the 1950s by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. I hope I said her name right. A Hindu whose program has been variously described as both religious and non-religious. The movement exploded in a worldwide popularity in the 1960s and 1970s after being endorsed by such celebrities as the Beatles. In 2015, the University of Chicago's Crime Lab rolled out a multi-year study of quiet time by the David Lynch Foundation School program that implemented transcendental meditation, according to a 2016 article from the Smithsonian Magazine. One of the largest randomized studies on meditation in children. The project involved 6,800 subjects in Chicago and New York and looked into the practices' effects on crime and violence, the magazine reported. Green and her lawyers alleged that CP that the Quiet Time program expected students to chant a mantra and pay homage to Hindu deities in a puja ceremony, which they claim was fundamentally demonic in its character, as well as a violation of Green's Christian beliefs and rights under the First Amendment and 14th Amendments. Green, who was a minor at the time, told CP that an instructor would take students 4 or 5 at a time into a darkened room that she characterized as spooky. She remembered the presence of candles and an image of a guru in front of an altar indicated to her a weird scenario that made her uncomfortable. It looked like a picture of some type of idol that I knew not to worship, she remembered. Green said she never learned the meaning of the mantra she was given, but noted that she was told not to tell others what it was, including her parents. Now, okay, let me keep reading. She said the experience made her feel that her religion was being attacked, which pushed her to go into prayer mode and to seek members of her church to pray over her for spiritual protection. You just never know what the whole purpose was in the meditation, the way they wanted me to do it, she said. John Mook, an attorney who represented Green, maintained to CP that one of the practices in the Quiet Time consisted of a 3 or 4 minute Sanskrit chant, which is, in our opinion, a demonic conjuring of the Hindu deities. He said other religious clients sued over the Quiet Time for similar reasons because they were asked to give some type of obeisance to the image of the guru, such as kneeling before it or offering it an orange. Green said that she was told kneeling before the image would improve her meditation experience, but that she avoided having to do so by saying she had an injury. Green also claimed she was threatened with losing points off her participation grade if she declined to partake in the meditation program, which she noted threatened to impact her ability to play the sports that she transferred to the school to play in the first place. She further claimed that she was never given a parental consent form and that her family did not approve of what she was being expected to do when she told them about it. Bill Goldstein, an attorney who represented the David Lynch Foundation in the lawsuit, stressed to CP that the settlement in Green's favor does not prove any of her allegations and that the settlement should not be construed as an admission of liability or that any damages were actually suffered by her. There are unproven allegations, Goldstein told CP, and those that have been denied, and the court has never made any findings that they were accurate. The settlement was entered into in the interest of judicial economy and to put an end to this without everyone spending a lot of time, money, and litigation. Goldstein denied Green's claims that she was forced to participate in the program or suffer academic and athletic retaliation and claimed that she received a parental consent to participate. CPS, which extended the Quiet Time program in 2020, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. but said in a statement to Chalkboard News that the district is committed to the safety and well-being of our students and works with the external partners to implement various programs and strategies to promote student mental health and ensure social and emotional well-being. One of the programs CPS used was Quiet Time, a meditation-based social emotional learning tool designed, We already read all that. The district has always denied and continues to deny any liability as a result of Quiet Time, and there has not been any finding of liability in this case by a judge or a jury. Green, who is now training to be a police officer in Chicago, told CP that she stayed prayed up through the situation at her school and that she hopes God will continue to use her to spread the gospel and also help people. The weapons could form, but they could not prosper. There is no way, even though the devil did have the intent on putting something in my spirit with a mantra or whatever that case was, but we serve a different type of God and he uses me all the time.
I wonder what was left out conveniently from this article. It does seem pointed. Now, what it sounds like to me, just from the outside looking in, you know how sometimes the school will implement a program and one teacher just is overzealous and takes it way past what it was supposed to be. And this young lady ended up in one of those classes where uh, this teacher was just way overzealous. Because what it sounds like is there was this moment for quiet time where kids could, you know, and I'm hoping what it was is whatever your various ideologies is, religious beliefs, if you wanted to take that quiet time to quietly pray to, or, meditate or just, check the inside of your eyelids for holes. You had that time. But I do believe that it does go beyond where it should go when you're forcing mantras on people. Certainly when you haven't gotten parental consent on this or parents aren't informed of what's about to take place. Just for this reason, we're not in the climate where you could be doing things like this without parental consent. I don't know that we've ever been in the climate where you could do things without parental consent, but certainly in today's climate where you're doing these things and they're told they have to bow or kneel before whatever image and offer it an orange and say these mantras, and that may be beyond the level of what people want to agree to do or what people want to. Even if the child wants to do that, we're all about parents saying, hey, my child don't have this option. A lot of parents say my child don't have an option, they do what I tell them to do until they get their own. And so you slide down a slippery slope and a dangerous road when, especially in a public school. Like I thought it would have been the opposite, where she went to a charter or a private school and this was happening. No, you went from charter to the public school and this was happening. So I find it interesting. Like this is not normal to me, really. I don't know. What's your thought?
So I agree with you. We know from the title of the art, from the publication, we know that I'm not gonna say we know. From the fact that this is a Christian publication, I feel like the article would lean towards that slant, right? I can't say for certain. I'm just saying that's how I feel. But I do agree with you. Just taking the article as written, do I think maybe some things might have been, worded a certain way or led a certain way? Maybe. But the way this article is written, I do feel like I agree with you 100%. I feel like this might be a program that was written a certain way, but maybe implemented in a different way. And maybe it was that particular teacher, maybe not necessarily that school, or maybe that school and not necessarily the whole district. As a Christian, I probably would take offense to being told to kneel before deity. I grew up Catholic, so I did kneel before, deities. But they were within my faith. You know, in the Catholic Church, we did kneel before statues and we did pray, but it was my faith. Like you said, I grew up in a Catholic school my whole life, so that we went to mass as a school. We celebrated religious holidays, All Saints Day and this day and that day, and we did it as a school-wide mass. But that's because we were at a Catholic school, and that was the expectation. I agree with you 100%. I was shocked. I was expecting it to be that she transferred to a charter school, and this was something that was happening. But that's what it sounds like. It sounds like the idea was a great idea. From as far as mediation, I mean, as far as meditation. The rest of it, I think people might, that I think was a bridge too far. I have heard
kind of like when I was growing up, when they eliminated saying, when they stopped saying, and now a moment of prayer after the Pledge of Allegiance, they would say, and now a moment of silent meditation, where whatever you wanted to do, you had the option to do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they stopped saying, and now a moment of silent prayer. They said meditation. So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm sorry, but Marnie had an interesting
all I was going to say was I have heard of programs where they use meditation as a way to de-escalate students that are upset or angry or what have you. Those things I'm fine with. I'm fine with using meditation. It's the rest of it, as it was described in that article, that I take pause. Somebody said they wondered about the teacher. I would like that more. That's the kind of information that I would want more of. Who was the teacher? Was this something that was implemented in just this homeroom, or was this something across the school? Right? Was this how the school interpreted?
And I'd love to see the parameters of the program from its inception. Like, what were they trained to do? Because I shudder to believe that in a large school system like Chicago public schools, that they would be forcing any type of religious doctrine or religious belief. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was something that either that teacher was doing or that school. I don't feel like this was across the because like you said, Chicago school district has to be one of the biggest school districts. I mean,
I think they're number 3.
Yeah, I was about to say they have to be in the top 5. They have to be in the top 5. So I refuse to believe that this was something that was done across the board, across the whole district. I mean, I'm not making any excuses. The teacher, if this was something that the teacher took upon him or herself, I feel like they overstepped. But meditation isn't a bad practice. It's the other stuff. Before Hindu deities and give offerings, because that's what the orange is. And this is something I'd be up at the school too having some questions. I would definitely have some questions. So yeah, go for her for identifying and standing up. I mean, go for her. I hope you don't blow that one step. But by the time you pay your lawyer's fees and taxes, you probably take home about $70,000. But I hope you don't blow it on a Louis bag or nothing, child. I hope you said you're trying to go to the police academy, put it away, invest it, girl. Spend a little bit, take your little vacation or something, but put the rest of it away. You just starting this life. You're 21 years old. You just starting this life, girl. Put that money up, honey. Put that money up. Right. Melly says, I meditate with my students. I call it a mindful minute. Yeah. I think most of us have probably implemented something along those lines. When I taught middle school, a lot of times when the kids, after lunch, when they would come back in, I'd be like, okay, we need to bring this back down. Especially during the
middle school after lunch?
Yeah, especially during the warm months, when they come back in after they've been out.
Baby, listen.
We're gonna bring this down for a minute.
Middle schoolers after that, and I used to have to practice. Even when I was in high school, I did it. But my practice was you didn't just walk up in my class. You stood outside on my wall in a line, and I would let you in one by one, and I would shake your head, say hello to you. You would say hello to me, and we would shake each other's hand. This is before COVID, of course, and you would go in one at a time. All this running around and bouncing off walls, that the middle schoolers like to do. Baby, we're not having that. We'll sit out here in this sun until Jesus comes back. I'm sweating just like you are. And I used to be right out there because I remember a parent said, well, my child said they was out in the sun. No, we were standing on the wall by my classroom. We just so happen we're in open school and the sun comes in. I was standing out there with the child right next to them.
We were out there
Sweating
together,
like they
honey. We
were.
were out there together.
What we talk about? Because we're not going in here with this fast.
Okay. So yeah, I'm hey, whew, all right. Well, shouts out to you, young lady, for standing in your faith and identifying something that made you feel uncomfortable. And it sounds like you handled it between you and your family. Y'all handled it in the way y'all didn't go up there trying to fight nobody. Okay. Or at least that wasn't in the article. Why wasn't in the article?
That wasn't in the article now. You know, these articles from some of these people, child.
Right. Now, this next article, can I do a little foundation before we get to this last article, Doctor? You guys, once again, now I hate to pat ourselves on the back, but this is one of those we're going to pat ourselves on the back because I am going to take some credit. And maybe I shouldn't, but we're going to take a bow on this one, okay? Now, we talked to you guys about this organization a couple of times last year, right?
Yeah.
A couple of times last year, we spoke on these people.
Did.
Moms for Liberty. You guys might remember we talked about Moms for Liberty. And we talked about how Moms for Liberty was infiltrating your school boards. We talked about how Moms for Liberty were coming in and they were trying to infiltrate your local elections to implement their policies. And something good came out of yesterday's elections. We started off talking about the elections and we're going to loop it around. So we see that yesterday, Moms for Liberty, they were rejected. They did not win a lot of these school board elections what they were running for. And I feel like we can take a little bow on that one. Now, I'm not saying we're saving the world, honey. But I feel like we told some people some things and maybe that helped people know that which way they at least help people know where to do the research. You see what I'm saying?
Standing on the wall, screaming as loud as we can about this stuff.
Honey. We've had our megaphones out.
We've been screaming. We've been over here carrying the banner, towing the line.
We've been trying. Bobo said, "Yeah, thank you, Cookie. Thank you, Cookie." So let's talk about what happened yesterday down to this election, honey.
We'll take our victory lap here.
We're going to take out, say a prayer. I mean, take a bow, as Madonna would say, honey. This is coming from the Advocate. Hold on, let me put the link in the chat. If you guys want to go back and reference it. Yana said, we definitely help. Thank you. That's why we're here. That's why we're here, honey. Each one teach one. Each one reach one, honey. That's why we're here. All right. This is written in the Advocate. This is obviously from today, November the 8th. The title of the article says, Moms for Liberty candidates rejected by voters in key school board elections. Child, all these pop-ups. I don't want to subscribe. All right. In a rejection of the conservative Moms for Liberty group across the United States, voters turned away from candidates endorsed by the group in multiple school board races. This group, known for its stance against LGBTQ plus educational materials and its advocacy for parental rights, faced significant losses in states from Pennsylvania to Iowa. Agenda PAC and Political Action Committee dedicated to holding anti-LGBTQ plus politicians accountable proudly celebrate its victories in school board races following Tuesday's election. Agenda PAC endorsed candidates secured victory across multiple states, marking a significant defeat for Moms for Liberty and their anti-LGBTQ plus educational agenda. The organization engaged in a strategic campaign in Pennsylvania and New Mexico to protect the rights of LGBTQ plus students and families in schools and counter Moms for Liberty's influence by supporting more progressive candidates. Those candidates beat out Moms for Liberty candidates in 4 Pennsylvania and New Mexico school board races. The organization was founded in in 2021 by former school board members upset about C-19 restrictions. The Southern Poverty Law Center classifies the national organization Moms for Liberty as an anti-government extremist group that advocates for book bans in school libraries and spreads hateful imagery and rhetoric against the LGBTQ plus community. Moms for Liberty supported candidates in school board races around the country, struggled underlining the effectiveness of the PAC's efforts. Where did they lose? In Pennsylvania, a focal battleground state, Moms for Liberty influence waned, endorsing only one candidate in Bucks County, a stark contrast to the previous year's claim of securing 33 seats. The Central Bucks School District saw Democrats secure all 5 available school board seats, despite Moms for Liberty voters' guide suggesting Republican candidates. This change was seen as a referendum on the controversies and culture wars the districts have been embroiled in over the past 2 years, including deep division over COVID protocols, library policy, teacher advocacy, and neutrality in the classroom, and transgender athletic participation. The new board with the Democratic majority is set to be seated in December. In Pendridge School District, where GOP candidates share Moms for Liberty ideology, also witnessed a complete turnover to Democrats, rejecting the so-called Protect Pendridge slate, which made up of the Republican candidates. The trend of defeats for Moms for Liberty extended into Virginia's Loudoun County, where their candidates were trailing, with some definitively losing to Democrats, notably Virginia's Republican Governor Youngkin. Anti-LGBT plus and anti-bodily autonomy policies were astoundingly rejected as Democrats won both houses of the state's legislature. Remember, I mentioned that at the beginning of this live that Governor Youngkin, he got some defeats yesterday up here in the Virginia. Well, I'm in Maryland, but in Virginia. In Iowa, the story was similar, with Linn-Mar district voters rebuffing 3 Moms for Liberty endorsed candidates, opting instead for 2 incumbent and 2 new faces. Other districts in Iowa also saw the group's candidates fail to secure seats, including those running in the Mount Vernon, Cedar Rapids, and West Des Moines school boards. Notably, a Moms for Liberty candidate in Polk County, Terry Patrick, did not advance after previously demanding criminal charges against the district over LGBTQ plus library books. I'm sorry. In a recent conversation with the advocate, Ted Bordelon, the executive director of the Agenda PAC, discussed the goals and strategies employed during this election cycle. He highlighted the organization's commitment to countering extremist agendas and the role of targeted messaging. Yesterday's election results reaffirmed the clear message that parents reject hate and want equitable, inclusive schools for all kids. He said in a press release, emphasizing that the mandate they received from voters. Hold on. Almost at the end of the article. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Let me read about New Mexico, and then we're going to kind of wrap it up, because that's pretty much the gist of it. In District 2 of Albuquerque Public Schools, Rolanda K. Tome narrowly defeated incumbent Peggy Mueller Aragon with fewer than 300 votes, separating the two, according to unofficial results. Aragon had an unsuccessful 2022 primary bid for the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor of New Mexico, have received public support from Sarah Jane Allen, the co-founder and chair of the Bernalillo County chapter of Moms for Liberty. Tome was endorsed by Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America and several unions, including the American Federation of Teachers in New Mexico. The District 4 race in New Mexico was among a few landslide victories in school board races in the area. According to the source, New Mexico Heather Benitez defeated Stephen Seco 82% to 18%. Oh, that was the landslide. Okay. Yeah. She will replace outgoing board member Barbara Peterson. She previously ran an unsuccessful 2022 primary bid for the Democratic nominee for New Mexico Treasurer. Seco ran an unsuccessful 2020 bid as a Republican New Mexico House of Representatives candidate. Seco also received support from the co-founder of that chapter of Moms for Liberty. Why did Moms for Liberty lose so badly? Annie Wabowski, Vice President of Campaign and Creative Services at the media strategy company Berlin Rosen, said the targeting and messaging was important for the candidates. What we want to do is talk, Lord. What we want to do is talk to the parents and the common sense folk out there who just don't want this getting in the way of the essentials that government is supposed to do. Polara, principal at Spotlight Strategies, added that turns parents off, and hopefully our messaging this year will have given them a little bump to come out and vote. I'm going to end it there. They just go on to talk about more about the PAC. I'm going to say shout out to Agenda Public Action Committee. It sounds like they were organized, they had clear messaging, and that they targeted the places where they felt like were vulnerable. And it sounds like they were very successful. What do you think?
I think that this is a referendum on the outliers, letting them know, being these radical, conservative outliers is not going to win you elections. It's just not going to do that. Especially when if you're going to lean toward one outlier or the other, the outliers on the left tend to be more successful than the outliers on the right. The problem is media would have you believe that the outliers on the right are more successful, and that's just not the case. And the other thing is a lot more money is funneled into the outliers on the right. So you get a lot more money funneled into Moms for Liberty. They get a lot more media attention, and that will lead you to believe that the going public is going to side with them and endorse their level brand of foolery. And that's just not the case. And I think across the board, you started to see that that they're just not. It's just not something that's sustainable. You're not, as much as you keep saying, oh, parents need to have the right to determine what is taught and what is not taught in the school, but that applies to all parents. And your small segment of the population does not represent the vast majority of parents out there. You mean to tell me you want parents to okay and rubber step you say their children can't learn about their own history? You want parents that have children that are LGBTQ to ceremoniously reject their own child? Just ceremoniously say, reject my own child, and I'm not going to let my child be who they are and live who they are. Really? So as much as the problem is this, for Moms for Liberty and many of these governors and governments around the country, they have turned education into being adult centered instead of being student centered. It's all about satisfying the whims or placating to the ideations of the adults, and no longer doing what's in the best interest of educating the children, instruction of the student population. And now it's just satisfying adults who want to um what's the word I'm looking for, transfer their own way of thinking, indoctrinate kids to believe the way they want them to believe, instead of allowing them to have true meaningful instruction and education where they can make their own decisions. If they decide to go along with you, fine, great. If they just say, yeah, that's not for me, then that's fine as well. And they should have the opportunity to explore all sides and not just your jaded, skewed view on what humanity is.
Agreed. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take our take our W, and we're going to skip one out of here. Thank you guys for being here. As always, please make sure that you are commenting, liking, and subscribing to the channel. Please share with your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a kin. Okay, that what we are doing over here. And we appreciate our regulars who are here. We appreciate everybody, you know, participating in the chat. Tracy, yes. Tracy.
Did I do a 45-minute live at 6 o'clock?
Go for it. I'm go for it. I'm not gonna. Go for it. I'm not gonna go live because I have too many shows to review today. Wednesday is a crazy day for me. I have the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Miami, chasing Atlanta, and then I think a new episode of Black Kate dropped today. So I got a lot. I'm not gonna go live.
It did.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go live today. So yeah, go for it, babe. Go ahead. So El Teddy
It's only gonna be 30,
fire
45
up.
minutes.
El gonna open up the classroom. Okay, get your tablets, your iPads, your good old fashioned notebook ready because he's got some things to share with the class. Okay. And with that, you guys, we are out. Talk to y'all later. Ever since the day I saw